Welcome to Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine. I'm your host, Jill Jardine, Master's in Counseling Psychology, longtime astrologer, psychic healer, and yogi. In today's episode, I'm excited to bring my fellow astrologer colleague, Hilary Harley, on the show to share her update of 2026. You want to stay tuned to find out the highlights of next year. Welcome to Cosmic Scene. In this episode, my guest is Hilary Harley, astrologer, who will share her information for the upcoming year 2026, and I'll pipe in as well. So it's my honor and pleasure to welcome Hilary Harley to Cosmic Scene. Welcome, Hilary, and I'd love it if you'd share a little bit about your bio, since we have some new listeners plugging in these days.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on the show, Jill. I'm so looking forward to breaking down, highlighting 2026. I can't believe we're here already. Just a little bit about me. I've been practicing astrology pretty much my whole life, but I've started seeing clients about 25 years ago. So, veteran astrologer. I have a master's degree and journalist by trade, have written a book, have given presentations to national, local organizations on both Reiki and astrology. You can reach me at hilaryharley.com. Hilary has one L, so Hilary, Harley.com. And I also have a podcast, Mystical Messages, where you can find the latest forecasts and hear beautiful information about healing arts practitioners from all different modalities and walks of life.
Yes, thank you, Hilary. I love having another professional astrologer on board, and your insights are so amazing and help so many people. And I do urge our listeners to tune into your podcast because it's quality astrology. So here we are in late 2025, navigating the cosmic currents of 2026. And it was so funny off mic here. You and I were both discussing what are going to be the cluster months of 2026. And we both unanimously agree with the eclipse window in February of 2026 into early March. And then August is going to give us a bit of a whammy. But let me hear what you have to say in general. We'll also share the Mercury retrogrades and some of the other major planetary stations. But everybody wants to hear what you have to share today, Hilary. So please hit me.
So thank you so much for having me. We start off January 2026 much more easily than 2025. 2025 January was pretty difficult. We had Mars retrograde, and it was a challenging way to start off the year. But 2026 is pretty smooth. We have a full moon on the 3rd of January in Cancer the Crab. So good for nurturing, nourishing foods, warm and cozy. And then a lot of shifts the 3rd week of January. We have the new moon on the 18th in Capricorn, followed by 4 planets: the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, all the interior planets, shifting into Aquarius, the sign of ideas, connection, rebellion, marching to your own drummer, doing your own thing, between January 18th and the 23rd. And all of these planets, the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, will be aligning to Pluto. So it's terrific for communication and connection.
I want to interject. I can't wait, being a 1, 2, 3 Aquarian, because that means they're all going to be on my sun for my solar return in 2026. So I'm actually looking forward to it. But I also think in the collective, it's the time of don't put baby in the corner. It's time to rise up and be heard and bring in that Aquarian age once and for all. And the conjunction with Pluto is going to be something to see. Transformation in the top order. So yeah, that's going to be exciting. So I guess the keynote is for people to enjoy those first 3 weeks leading up to the 18th, relatively calm before the new paradigm comes in
Yes.
to stay. So thank you for illuminating us on all that Aquarian action there.
Yeah, it's really about the individual and stepping into your own empowered version, your highest self. And then the month of January rounds out with Neptune, which is very spiritual energy. It's about the soul re entering Aries on January 27th. And so some of you know, some of your listeners know that Neptune has been dancing back and forth, finishing up in its own sign of Pisces the last part of 2025. It did stick its toe into Aries in May, June of 25, but now at the end of January 2026, on January 27th, Neptune is going to be in Aries for the next 15 to 20 years. So, this is the time, in combination with all of this Aquarian energy that I mentioned earlier, to be really stepping into your warrior, your pioneer, your brave self.
Yes, that's why this finishing up in the late 2025 of Neptune and Pisces, I think that the time of like dissolution, what I call the fake shamans or those who rode the wave for the last 14 years from about 2011, 2012 to 2025 with sort of the new agey, but it's like in Aries, it's like you got to prove it. The proof is in the pudding, so to speak, because Aries is no nonsense. It's fire. It's like, show me, show me,
Right.
show me your
A
goods.
hundred percent. Yep, 100%. You got to do it, and no faking at all.
And then that Neptune's going to be in alignment with all those Aquarian planets in the early degrees. So that will be kind of fun having that sextile 60 degree from Mercury, Mars,
Venus.
Pluto,
Yep.
the Sun with Neptune in early Aries. So we're going to have a nice ride there in the Aquarian equinox that starts at the end of January 2026.
Yeah, it's pedal to the metal time for sure.
Love it.
And then February, we really get going. I was looking at this, and as you mentioned, we were talking offline about this beforehand. I mean, we have a full moon in Leo on February 1st, and it's as Uranus, the change agent and great awakener. I call it the pot stirrer.
Yeah.
It's stationing and it turns direct motion on the 4th. So this is really a loaded week. That the first few days of February, and I'd say well into the second week of February, we're going to feel the ripple effect. It's Uranus is about turning things up and turning things over, changing things, changing directions. It's the pivotal planet, and its point is to awaken everybody. So as it turns direct motion in Taurus, we're really going to get called on the carpet, so to speak, about our values, where we stand, who and what we value, our resources, our climate, the stock market, our bank account. So, but it's also the things, the qualities, the people in our lives that we value as well.
So everybody has their value system. If they've made some changes, they're really going to see it. And I think it's kind of funny too, with it being a collective planet, affecting the collective, going direct. It's like on Groundhog Day, we're going to see more shadows than maybe we want to, or that we'll be surprised with some of the shadows between all the Aquarius activity, the full moon, and then Uranus going direct. It's like, surprise, nice because Uranus is the
Right.
planet of shocks and revelations, and with it being retrograde all these months, it's like now it had been turned inward. Now it's really going to affect us in our
Right.
collective experience. So that will be very interesting to see what pops between the full moon and Uranus direct in early Feb.
Right. So it kicks off. February really kicks off with a jolt, and this continues with the first eclipse of 2026. February 17th, new moon solar eclipse in Aquarius, more Aquarius energy to rock and roll us. So, Saturn also goes into Aries, adding fuel to the fire. It also was tracking with Neptune in Pisces. And so both of them were retrograded back into Pisces. And now in 2026, they are on this threshold of the brand new. So this really adds to all the activity going on in February. I mean, February is as loaded as I've seen a month in a long time. And so Saturn is the taskmaster. It brings the gravitas, the weight, the ballast, and Neptune is the spiritual planet. Tracking with Saturn, it's this spiritual meets matter, meets the earthbound, you will be doing this. And so when Saturn goes into Aries on February 14th, that is going to really shift gears forward.
Yes, and it will dance with Pluto, and then in late April and May, and then forward from 2026 on, as of May, everybody has shifted into their air and fire homes for the coming years and out of water and earth. I'm personally looking forward to it. We are using that early 2026, and it's not a lot of time. It's basically January to finish up unfinished business because, like you said, February we're rock and rolling as
Right.
we start accelerating into the Aquarian age for sure.
And then
It's
the whole
also
month.
Lunar New Year, too. So we're going to have an eclipse on Lunar New Year, which I can't remember in recent history when that's happened. So
Oh, wow.
don't set your intentions quite yet. There's still some things that have to be worked through. And it's late degree Aquarius, too. So it's something coming full
Right.
circle. It's a new moon. I mean, that's been the trend since about September. All these new moons have been happening around 28 degrees of a sign.
Right.
So
Right.
as much as we want to get our groove on and start moving forward, there's a lot more about completion. So it's very interesting. And the other thing that I think about this Aquarius new moon, that it also kicks off the eclipse season that goes on for a couple weeks until the full moon that comes in early March, which you'll share about. And to throw another wrench into the mix is the Mercury retrograde that happens between the eclipses, which I'm sure you're going to share some info on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so Mercury goes retrograde on the 26th, just at the end of the month. So this is a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am kind of month, February of 2026. We have the full moon in Leo, right as Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius, stations direct motion on the 4th. And then the first eclipse on the 17th, new moon, solar eclipse, first eclipse of 2026 in Aquarius. So, again, a lot of this Aquarius activity. And then Mercury, which is about communication. People are more familiar with Mercury retrograde because we tend to have technology snafus, not a great time to buy big ticket items, book travel plans, sign significant documents happening on the 26th, right smack dab in between are these two eclipses. And then the second eclipse happens depending on where you are in the world. It can either happen on March 2nd or March 3rd, the full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo. So there's going to be a focus on health, wellness, healthy habits, practices, systems, efficiency, service that you give. So it is this stretch between February 1st and March 3rd is rocking and rolling.
And so what's interesting with the Mercury retrograde in Aquarius, which is an air sign, I was like making plans to travel in February, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm gonna wait until after that lunar eclipse in March and maybe go out
Yeah.
the week later because I think there may be some issues in the northern climes. There's always weather stuff in during February, but I think there could be a little bit of complications, let's just put it that way, with the air travel as we have experienced during this most recent Mercury retrograde in November of 2025. So
Right,
there could
right.
be another level of that kind of complication, and or the best laid plans of mice and men don't get to be carried
Oh,
out, especially under that Virgo full moon on the 3rd of
right,
March.
right. Right. I do think March is much, much quieter. Cosmically, there's not, after the second eclipse of the year, March 2nd, 3rd, it is quieter, much quieter cosmically. Jupiter goes direct on March 11th in Cancer the Crab. And so that's always a help to everybody. I mean, Jupiter is the Titan of abundance, the Santa Claus of the zodiac. It's a help wherever it is in your chart, but it's considered exalted, meaning like an honored guest in a home in the sign of Cancer the Crab. So beautiful for nurturing, family, food, home. And then we have a cluster of activity around March 19th. We have a new moon, March 19th. Again, you're right, the final degree of Pisces. The very next day, Mercury turns direct motion on March 20th. And then the sun goes into Aries on March 21st. So it's another triple trifecta of activity, all good, everything's moving forward.
Right, and it's the spring equinox, Mercury going direct at the spring equinox right after a new moon. So, I mean, I think, people, I don't know about you, but, clients will ask, when's the best time to launch something in early 2026? I would say at that equinox for sure this year. Last year,
Yes,
it was tainted by eclipses. It was smack in eclipse land. But this year, it's
yes.
actually a really good time to launch because we've got the Mercury direct. We just had a new moon. So, that's a time to go for it. Where earlier we're going to have, some kind of rocky Aquarian roller coaster rides. So by March, you're right. I think it's a calmer month. And isn't that funny? It's like we get a nice and then we get a nasty. Like January, early January. Oh, it's kind of calm. Oh, all right, Cancer full moon. Let's all just chill around the fire. Then at the end of
Right.
then at the end of January into February, it's like nope. You can't rest on your laurels. It's going to be a wild ride. And then by the
Yeah.
second week, third week of March, it's like, okay, here comes some new energy that you can ride and launch your rockets on.
100%. And then moving into April, it continues to be kind of quiet, but we do have a full moon in Libra on April 2nd, followed by Uranus. Now, Uranus also changed signs last year in 2025 into Gemini. It gave us a little taste of things to come, rolled back into Taurus. And now that it's moving forward in 2026, it goes back into Gemini, Uranus and Gemini on April 26th, where it will be for the next 7 years. So it's aligning to Pluto in Aquarius. And this is truly, as you mentioned earlier, now we are firmly planted in the age of Aquarius. Ideas, connection, community, and being your own individual.
I can't wait for Uranus and Gemini because it did step its foot in, like you said, for those 2 months, basically July and August of 2025, which was giving us a precursor. And Uranus is also going to turn up the volume with time acceleration. So that's why I feel like take advantage in January, in early January, to get your ducks in order, because as this year 2026 starts unfolding, it's really going to be an acceleration. And I got some glimpses of it. Like, we may have so many things hitting us at once in our personal lives, never mind the collective situation.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
gets real. It gets real. And I also think, and you can speak about this too, the fact that we're going to have Uranus and Gemini, that from Taurus, that division of realities, like which timeline are you living in? Which dimension are you still on 3D dealing with all that kind of narrative
Right.
and media hype, or
A 100%.
have you individuated out into the future self? So that Uranus, it's such an important marker of the past and the future kind of having a split.
Yeah, we are really, I'm glad you brought that up, because once Uranus goes back into Gemini, we are really, the pedal is to the metal, and we are on acceleration mode. And, we could have a whole conversation about 31 Atlas, which is
Yeah.
the comet slash extraterrestrial entity that's circling through our cosmos, but that is part of this.
Right,
Whether
consciousness shifting and things coming into our reality that people have never experienced before. And again, it's like, don't take the mainstream media spin on it, because that will keep you in fear mode. I think this is a consciousness awakener.
100%. Yeah. I mean, Uranus is the planet of, it's called the Great Awakener for a reason. And now with Pluto, the transformer in Aquarius, which is Uranus's sign, and Uranus going into Gemini, these are all air signs. So it's about consciousness and idea exchange and innovation, invention, and we're going where no man, woman entity has ever gone before.
Hey, listeners, this is Jill Jardine, host of Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine, and I have some exciting news for you. I've just published my first book called Sacred Sound Formulas to Awaken the Modern Mind, Sanskrit Mantras to Raise Your Vibration. You've listened to my episodes on Sanskrit mantras for the past 5 years, and some of you know that I am a certified Sanskrit mantra instructor and reverend in Sanskrit mantra through the lineage of Thomas Ashley Fraun, Namadeva Acharya. Well, this book is going to tell you more about mantras and how they can help you evolve, the importance of frequency and resonance, and sound vibrations that come from the cosmos. So you're going to want to get your copy of Sacred Sound Formulas to Awaken the Modern Mind by Parashakti Jill Jardine. Go on to www.innerpeacepress.com and order your copy now. All right.
So, yeah, I mean, we're on fire come April. I mean, we're really moving forward at lightning speed, which brings us into May. We have 2 full moons in May. We have full moon in Scorpio on May 1st, and the final day, May 31st, we will also have a full moon in Sagittarius. So the first full moon will be in Scorpio. And this is, again, looking at our resources, how we use power. It is also a quieter month, May. Pluto does turn retrograde in Aquarius on May 6th. So, that's not generally something that we feel, but it's just something to watch in the back of your mind. And then on May 19th, Venus goes into the sign of Cancer the same day that Mars, they're like twins traveling together. Women are from Venus, men are from Mars type of thing.
Yes.
It's about our values and our relationships. This is Venus going into Cancer, and Mars is our engaging, I call it motivating Mars, goes into Taurus on the 19th and followed by the second full moon in Sag on the 31st.
Wild.
Yeah, so we've got a blue moon.
Blue moon in
Um,
May, and like you said, it's not the craziest months. It's more of an integration month, but we're going to be given a lot of options. And the thing about May, which is always interesting, it starts with the Taurian grounded, and then it goes into like the hyper Gemini mode. But it's a very early Wesak moon, which is the full moon in
yes.
Taurus, the Buddha full moon, when the sun is in Taurus and the moon is in Scorpio. And it's always been an indicator for economic situations and financial forecast for the coming months. And it comes early, I mean, relatively early. It could be at the end of April, but this year it's May Day. May Day, May Day.
Mayday. So June, there's not a lot going on right after that full moon on May 31st. June is quiet at the beginning of the month, but boy, at the end of June, it's like bada boom, bada bang, one right after another. We've got a full moon on June 29th in Capricorn, the same day that Mercury, Messenger Mercury, turns retrograde, also on the 29th. And Mars, our energy, our motivation, goes into Gemini on the 29th. The very next day, Jupiter goes into Leo. So it's this
Woohoo!
cluster of, I
Yeehaw!
know, Jupiter, get your party shoes on. Yet, as you pointed out, yet another sign, planet going into a fire sign. So we now have these outer planets all in air and fire signs. So this is really exciting stuff. Great, this is the creative axis. Leo on one hand, on one end of the spectrum, and Aquarius on the other end of the creative axis.
And this is all within the first 6 months of the year, all this activity.
I know.
So we'll segue into like what to expect in the next 6 months. Yeah, a lot of action in the first half of 2026. It's almost like going to be overwhelming for people. It's going to be, I feel like it's much lighter than 2025. People keep asking me, is 2026, it's going to be, let's put it this way, it's going to be different. There'll be intensity, but it's different, but it's really about new beginnings. And I think the theme is to make your choices wisely in the early part, because that's the energy you'll ride for the rest of the year and perhaps for the
Yes,
coming years. So with that, we
I
can
agree.
segue into that second half and kind of like a broad stroke, July through December, because we can always come back and do a more detailed, immersive with the end of the year, because it's really important that we got all that early stuff out. But like people need to know, major stuff. So what did you see coming in from July on?
Yeah, July, I agree with you that it's a much lighter year in terms of, and it's fast. It's really fast energy. The biggest thing in July is the lunar nodes shift
Yay!
from these earth and water signs, Pisces and Virgo, they shift into Leo and Aquarius. So again, there's more of this fire and air sign energy that is lighting us and leading the way. Mercury turns direct on July 23rd, which is the same day that the sun moves into Leo. So, July looks to be, again, a calmer month, great for vacation. August, we get back into eclipse mode. There's a solar new moon eclipse on August 12th. It's in Leo, followed by the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces and Virgo on the 28th of August.
Wow.
So Yep. So August is a bit bumpier, but again, it's a summer month, so good for vacations, taking time off. September, there's a lot of activity around the 10th of September. Uranus, the change agent, turns retrograde on the 10th. Venus about relationships, love, money goes into Scorpio on the 10th. There's a new moon on the 11th, and Mercury goes into Libra on the 11th. But other than that, it's a quiet month. The biggest bumps are the eclipses in August with Uranus turning retrograde about 10 days after that second eclipse. And that will be the final eclipse of that August 28th eclipse will be the final eclipse of the year.
Phew.
Yeah, I know. And then October, we do have Venus retrograde. So Venus goes retrograde about every 18 months. So on October 3rd, right after the full moon, at the end of September, Venus is going to turn retrograde for about 6 weeks. So that's to be mindful of temptation, major investments that you're looking at. Pluto goes direct on October 16th, and Mercury goes retrograde at the end of the month. So the good news is we get Mercury and Venus retrograde overlapping, so we get them done with at the same time, which is
Yes.
very helpful. Very quickly, November, we have both Mercury and Venus going direct motion at mid-month. So it's perfect for holiday shopping. Kicking off the holiday shopping season in mid-November. There is a full moon in Gemini on the 24th, and Mars goes into Virgo around Thanksgiving. On the 26th. And then just wrapping up December, we have Saturn going direct motion in Aries on December 10th, and Neptune also going direct motion in Aries on the 12th. These two continue to track together, the heavenly and the earthly Saturn. Heavenly being Neptune, spiritual Neptune, and the more earthbound, get things done, Saturn. So there's a full moon on Christmas Eve, and that looked really fun to me. So it'll be in Gemini. So beautiful Christmas Eve in December of 26.
Yeah, and we end the year kind of like a little bit more calmer than the way it came in. Comes in like a lion, goes not so much out like a lamb, maybe more like a deer. But
Yes. Yes.
that was a fabulous summary of 2026, Hilary. What would you say if there was like a theme or if there was something you wanted to share with listeners as far as like one, how to prepare for 26, how to use the energy, or any other tips you might have for riding out 2026?
26 looks to be a really exciting year. It's sort of like a magic carpet ride. So, if you are looking to take a risk, put yourself out there in some way that you have not before. It could be marketing, branding, going out on your own, whether personally or professionally. 2026 is your year because there is so much energy, fuel, plus wind behind our backs to get us to where we want to go.
I love that. Yeah, wind behind our sails and fires being lit. And I like that. Like a lot of people hang out in relationships too long. I think it may become untenable in 2026 with Saturn and Neptune both in Aries. I mean,
Uh,
the new beginnings theme is so strong the whole year
yeah,
that
a
and
100%.
people really becoming independent from like what they bought into, with what they hear out in the collective. A lot of people individuating out, so to speak, from the consensus reality.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it is a much, much lighter, frothier kind of year. So it will be important to ground and keep your feet, firmly rooted because it can take your breath away 2026.
I agree. Any idea with like all the air and fire? Do you think we're in for a lot of people? And I guess some indigenous elders have said that it's going to be a year of earth changes. What is your feel on that?
I mean, those would come, I think, earlier in the year when Uranus is still in Taurus,
Yes.
at the final degrees of Taurus. It's like a crescendo and super emphasis. So it would be January through early April. And the fallout of those changes, we'd have to go into cleanup mode the rest of 2026.
Yes, I agree. So, all right. Well, this is news that our listeners can use for sure. Hilary Harley has been my guest, seasoned astrologer who actually makes us look at the cosmos in a, how can we say it, enchanted way, so to speak.
Oh,
And again, we share this information for empowerment, to empower people, because when you know how to work with these energies, you can make the most of them and not
right.
feel victimized by it. And again, things like the retrogrades, those are always good times to revisit, redo things. So we'll have some timeouts during the year of hectic activity. So that's good to know, with especially the Mercury retrogrades. But anyway, and Hillary, any parting words here?
You know, just hold on tight to what you know to be true in your heart, and don't let other people steer you or pull you away from what you know is the best and highest for your own well-being.
Right on. I love that. Thank you so much, Hilary Harley. And
Thank you so much.
and tell them where to listen to you again.
I am available via my website, hilaryharley.com. Hilary has one L, Hilary, Harley.com.
Thank you, Hilary. I hope you enjoyed this episode on the astrology of 2026, featuring my guest, astrologer Hilary Harley. Make sure you download, share, subscribe, and give us a 5-star review. This is Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine, sending the cosmic currents of healing, light, and consciousness into 2026.